Should Global and JP be on the same version? This debate has been going on for years and has since resurfaced recently because of the Global Dokkan Twitter. This video that released a couple of days ago talked about the survey that has popped up in your news feeds. By the way, do the survey. We don't get rewards right now. It's possible we could get rewards in the future. There might be a glitch going on. Just simply do the survey. It's very easy, like 5 questions. In that survey, we were given an unfortunate question that I wish they never asked. What is your expectation for the international version in the future? A, implementing characters at the same time as the Japanese version. This right here is the breeding ground for everybody talking about Global and JP being together and not being separate, or being separate and not being together. So I want to give my 2 cents on this whole topic. I am very bad at articulating my points in an organized manner. I will often ramble off into tangents. So I've already spent 2 hours trying to make a good video on this, but I simply can't. I will ramble on, and then 30 minutes later I realize that I'm talking about ice cream and I'm not even talking about Dokkan. That's just how my mind works. So I'm going to do my best to succinctly and swiftly make my points, why I am for or against this, and then I'm going to go over your guys' thoughts that you guys posted in my poll. And then that's going to be it. So you guys can let me know in the comments here in this video if you guys agree or disagree. I'm also going to give a little compromise. I do have one idea that I think could help, and I think some of you guys have issued the same sort of sentiments in these comments on my tweet. So let's start with going over my thoughts on this whole thing. Do I think Global and JP should be together and not separate? I think they should. Keep in mind, I am a content creator. I am somebody who spends a considerable amount of money and time in this game. So that is a very important variable when taking into account my thoughts on this, because my circumstances are going to be different from a lot of you guys. Maybe you don't spend as much, maybe you don't play this as much, maybe you don't enjoy this game as much as I do, or maybe you enjoy it more. You know, it all depends on who you are. So everyone's going to have a differing opinion in certain circumstances. So now, why do I want this to happen? Number one, the obvious reason that should go without saying, but still needs to be said apparently, having the entire fandom enjoying the same celebration at the same time, for whatever reason, a new unit, a new banner, a new event, is far more beneficial to the game and the community than it would be to have a fragmented audience, a fragmented level of celebration. When you have the JP side having their party 6 months early, and then having the global version have their party 6 months later, all the while JP is now getting ready to look ahead to the next year's celebration, just doesn't have the same level of luster and appeal that it would have had right when it happened. That is unfortunately something that global players have to deal with every single time. When they see a new unit, they see it, they're so happy about it, then they realize they're not going to be able to use it for another 6 months. That leads to a whole other level of issue when it comes to scheduling, but we'll talk about all that stuff later. I'm trying to be as focused as I possibly can. I don't want to ramble off again. I've done like 4 or 5 takes. In fact, my throat is getting dry because I've done this take so many times that I'm losing it. So let me continue here. Another point, why we should have them together. There would no longer be asynchronous celebrations. What I mean by this is simply just look at Dokkan and Global and JP. We have 2 separate campaign schedules. If you look at the Dokkan Wiki, there's a global campaign list and a JP campaign list. This drives a lot of people crazy because if you look at one example, we'll take a look at the Kid Gohan Dokkan Festival celebration that happened earlier this year or last year. During the celebration, they got Super Battle Road, right? Super Battle Road was given to them, available daily, new stages. And then on the following celebration after the Kid Gohan Dokkan Fest, they also received Extreme Super Battle Road new stages as well. So when we saw this on the global side, there was a level of expectation that stirred up. People naturally would expect the same order of operations to happen on the global side as well. Why wouldn't there be a level of expectation? When Global got this campaign with Kid Gohan, we did not receive the Super Battle Road stages. We did not receive Extreme Super Battle Road stages in the timely fashion that JP did. So that level of expectation then turned into irritation, contempt, envy, jealousy, because of that disjointed nature of the content rollouts. I don't think that there should be any need for Global and JP to change things up the way that they do. I think it's very annoying. I think it's bothersome. I think it's only serves to further that gap between Global and JP. It's already 4 to 6 months apart, which is ridiculous. But then also having different sort of experiences in terms of the content rollout, I don't think is good for the game. So that's just my take on it. Having that eliminated would be so nice because I no longer have to worry about JP getting something and then Global having to wait 4 to 6 months plus 2 more, give or take whatever variable that they throw into the mix. I don't want all that. I think it's stupid. I think it's annoying. Get rid of it. Another point, obviously, there would no longer be the Global Shaft meme. Kind of a small point, but I still want to point that out. And the last thing that I don't think people realize is if Global and JP were always on the same schedule, they would basically be acting as the same game, right? The only difference would be one is in Japanese, one is in English, or what other language. If they're happening at the same time and they're acting as the same game, the same entity, wouldn't that then mean that all the versions' collective shared revenue would then pull into more consistent top grossing? We've seen over the years that Dokkan has dominated the charts, right? Hitting top grossing on many celebrations back in the day. Now, after 7 years, interest has been waning a little bit. Newer, bigger gachas have been emerging that have created some competition for Dokkan. On the JP side, Uma Musume. On the global side, I don't know what some of the games are, but we're not hitting top grossing as much. If we combine all these revenue pools together, that could potentially mean a second wind, if you will, sort of a rebirth with new levels of consistent top grossing, which would ultimately mean more celebrations, more stones being sent back to us, more gifts or more rewards being given back to the players for hitting those top charts. So more consistent top grossing, I think, would be a pretty cool thing. Let me just drink some more water. All right, now cons. Obviously, there would be a big con for this join or this merger, which would be global prep. You would lose the ability to see what's coming up ahead, right? That is one thing that global Dokkanners do enjoy. Some, I would say some, not everybody, some enjoy the ability to plan ahead. If you see that the Tanabata celebration for JP is Gogeta and Ultra Instinct Goku, and you are 6 months behind, well, now you know if you care about these units, they're probably better than the units that you're looking at right now. You might want to summon for them. So you will probably save, you'll probably farm out some super attacks, or maybe farm out some units that could potentially be super attack fuel for whatever units that are coming up. Global prep is very convenient for the frugal Dokkanner. The frugal Dokkanner is somebody who likes to spend less, get a better value, and not have to, go through the sort of hassle of knowing what's happening days before it happens without much time to prepare. So that is obviously a big detriment to the merger taking place. The other one would be the potential loss of discounts, stone or tickets, or Pilaf's Trove, or other global incentives, things like that. One of the things that global has that JP doesn't have as much is the ability to save. From a business standpoint, I believe that is because global, the Dokkan IP is basically double dipping, right? They have the JP side, they have the global side, and they have a contingent of players who spend on both versions of the game. Having those discounts allows some people to summon on certain banners where they don't necessarily want to, or some of those players who are double dipping might be able to spend a little bit on the global side and still potentially pull the units that they want that they got on the JP side. So eliminating that would be unfortunate because some people like to save, like to have good deals. They would no longer have that potentially with the versions being on the same schedule. I don't know why they don't have these discounts on JP. I just don't get that. Maybe it's just because they want to, they want to have people spend more money. They know the JP audience will spend no matter what. Maybe that's why. But maybe it's a whole anti-business thing. So those are my points on the global versus JP thing. Should they be together? Should they be separate? I am aware of the cons for the whole thing. I understand the drawbacks with them joining together. I still want it, but that's how I feel. Now, how do you feel? Let's talk about what you guys think. I threw a poll out yesterday. 63% of you said, or 64% join together. 35% said keep them separate. 1.1% of you seem to think that this was a choice to click on, which is adorable. So let's go over some of your answers. I can't go over all of them. My voice is spent, and it's already been 10 minutes. So I'm going to just read through some of these. I promise you I will read them on my own, but I won't necessarily read all of them in the video. All right, so Bulky Nemesis says, 7 years in, just keep them separate unless they've got this genius idea of somehow making global catch up without making the banner periods smaller. That's literally impossible. The banner periods would have to be... Well, actually... No, yeah, they'd have to eventually get smaller. Chosen Waffle. I feel like joining the games would cause massive problems. Global players would either lose out on Anniversary or Tanabata. The Ultimate Red Zone is coming out, and every single global player will get crushed and start complaining. That is obviously something that would happen, yes, because, you know, when you're trying to move up the schedule that fast, things will obviously get lost in the shuffle. I say keep them together, but close the gap a little bit for the anniversary specifically. Maybe sprinkle in 1 or 2 global first banners a year in there. I think that's more than fair. Global first, I think people don't understand. With global first, that will only serve to extend the gap between the two versions, because then you would have to accommodate for global's exclusive schedule, which would then push back the theoretical next release, and that would only create a bigger disjointedness in the community between the two versions. So while I would love to have a global first to stick it to those JP players, it would only serve to hurt this whole cohesive feeling in the long run. Separate is best. Know what to save for, and what's coming is the greatest thing on global. That is true. Like I said, for the frugal Dokkaner, that is very much a thing. For the casual Dokkaner, that is very much a thing. You don't want to be spending a lot of money on this game, but that's how gacha games are. My counterpoint is that that's kind of just the nature of the beast. That's what you sign up for as a gacha game. That is just how that's just how it works. I don't know if we can really avoid that. The ability to have this foresight, I think, is a privilege, not something that we were supposed to have. I don't know why. Why did they do this to begin with? None of this would have happened if we were just on the same version to begin with. Man. Okay, let's move on here. We already know, save for the anniversary, save for worldwide download celebration, summon on whoever's your favorite. So foresight is not much of an argument when using logic. That is very true. Tickets are the only real argument for not syncing the game. I would rather experience the hype with everyone. That is a very good point. One thing about foresight, you can pretty much summarize it, and I've said this before, now that I think about it, you can summarize a year of Dokkan to 3 celebrations. New Year's Step Up, Yearly Anniversary, Worldwide Download Celebration. Those are the 3 marquee banners you should be summoning for. The less summons that you do during the year, the more value your New Year's Step Up would have. So, in all honesty, foresight is kind of is the word fallacy? It's kind of a logical fallacy there, because if you know that, you don't necessarily have to really know what's coming up. You can just expect the good stuff to happen at those staple times during the year. That is a very good point. That is a very good point. Around here, we have the expression, nope, not reading that one. There you go. Welcome to Twitter, folks. That is not something I wanted to have read. Sorry, folks. That is just the nature of Twitter. Don't hold that against me. Keep them separate, as I'm years deep on both. Okay, so this is a double dipper right here. Well over 2,000 days on JP 1850, and I don't know if I could choose. Well, that is true. That is very true. For those of you who play both versions, that would be a real pickle for you guys, wouldn't it? You can never ask the Dokkan community for what they want, because either they get what they want and end up not wanting it, or they don't get what they want and complain. You don't win in either of these scenarios. I still like to ask. It's fun. I like knowing what's coming up so I can plan my stone spending and purchasing. That is true. Narrow the release of the new units maybe 1 month apart for global. Okay, you know what? This is actually the perfect segue into what is ultimately my final point, my proposal. So, a lot of people don't want to have the versions joined up because of the global prep. Why not close the gap to the point where global prep is within reason? We shouldn't have to prepare 6 months in advance for a freaking unit. I propose we make it 1 month or 2 months apart flat. No global exclusives needed. Maybe discounts if you still want to include those. But have it 1 to 2 months at most. Maybe 1 month is enough. I had this on Grand Cross. I played Grand Cross for a little while. Actually, since launch, I played Grand Cross. Stopped it maybe a couple months ago. I loved that game. One thing that I liked about what happened at a certain point was that JP and Global were about 1 month apart. That way, I could see what's coming up. I could decide between the 2 banners that are before that new banner whether or not I wanted to summon, and then it would only be a month's time before I got to enjoy it. That still would allow the level of hype to maintain on the global side in terms of the fandom. There would still be a conversation between both versions, and most importantly, for Dokkan anyway, if we got the 7-year anniversary 1 month after JP, we would be able to enjoy the celebration for 4 to 5 months before the actual worldwide download celebration. What happens on global is that we get the yearly anniversary, And then 1 month after the yearly anniversary is done, we get the worldwide download celebration. So we barely have any time to savor our expenses or savor our, newly cherished units and recover from our expenses that were lost there, because now we have to summon for the new shiny unit on the worldwide download. Once that's over, all the conversation now shifts to the JP side getting the 8-year anniversary units. The next year anniversary units are now in the conversation. So if we reduce that gap a little bit, then I think it would allow for a more longer-lived celebration on both versions. Also, while engaging in the community a little bit more, breeding more conversation between both versions, and it would allow people to still prepare and save. That is my proposal. I don't even know if I articulated all of this properly. If I did, great. If I did not, I apologize. Like I said, I am terrible at going through these types of arguments, jumping back and forth, but hopefully I did a good job. Hopefully your guys' comments were read, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I am tired. I am out of here. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you want Global together with JP, or do you want them separate? Just make this conversation stop. Dokkan, just do it, man. Just combine them or don't. Just don't ever ask us this ever again, please. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future, and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it. Thanks again. Stay tuned. I'm going to go ice my throat now because my throat's dying. Make sure you guys are around for the Dragon Ball Battle Hour stream later on tonight. And always remember to Dokkan responsibly.